Madeleine Harvey here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I had this question a lot this following week, to which completely inspired today's video. And that question was, why is singing so hard? So I'm going to dive into this as completely as I can today. But before I do, I just want to let you guys know that this coming Monday, November 14th at 12 p.m. Nashville, Tennessee time, I'm going to be doing a YouTube live, like a mini voice lesson. We're going to be getting into how to get started. If you're a complete newbie to singing, or if you're an industry pro and you just want to brush up on some foundational basics, please join me November 14th, 12 p.m. Nashville, Tennessee time. I would love to see you there. Okay, so just jumping into this question. Now, this question is really complicated, and I'm going to do my best to be holistic about it, to just consider the heft and the weight of that question. Why is singing so hard? Now, I do believe I can answer this question in two words, and that is shadow integration. But a lot of you guys are going, huh? What does that even mean? So let's get into that. But before we do, I'm going to tell you a quick story that illustrates exactly what shadow integration is. So that way you can bounce your experience off of the story, my personal experience that I'm going to share with you, and go, oh yeah, that's really hard. That's really hard. Okay. So once upon a time, when I lived in New York and I studied in New York, I was a pretty natural dancer, meaning it kind of came easy to me. And I was relatively competent in terms of my technique. But there's a lot that I could get away with because I did like competitive gymnastics for many, many years. So I had a lot of flexibility, had a lot of speed, had a lot of energy, and it was relatively easy for me to channel my energy through dance. And whatever I lacked in technique, I could kind of fake it because gymnastics had kind of taught me how to just lean into it and go with it. And I learned how to fake it really, really well at auditions. But many years later, I lived in Florida and I was really missing dancing. I needed an outlet for my energy. I had a lot of energy and I just needed a way to channel my energy, and I decided that I wanted to take a ballet class. Well, the studio that I went to had me demonstrate my technique, and I learned that I was not as good as I thought I was. So there's a big part of shadow integration right there. My level of ability, my level of actual competence with my technique became obvious to me then, and it was a little disappointing. I wasn't as good as I thought I was. So they placed me in an intermediate level ballet class just to kind of get my bearings and brush up on my technique. Well, I show up. We all had to wear the same get up, and I show up at this ballet class thinking, okay, it's going to be like an adult class. No. It was filled with like 10 to 14-year-olds. Now, I was in my mid-20s at the time, and my ego took a massive hit to this. I was just like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm a grown woman and I'm surrounded by little children, and I'm kind of considered the same level of technique as them. But then as soon as my ego kind of recovered from that, which was relatively quickly, I learned how to laugh at myself quite a lot in my life. So I just decided that I was going to make the best of this. And it ended up being a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for not only me to really get an understanding of my rank in terms of ability, but also build a sense of camaraderie with my fellow little ballerinas and learn how to support each other. It was really, really wonderful. They were very curious about me. Where are you from? How old are you? They asked, to which I said, how old do you think I am? And they would say like 14, 15. And so I was like, let's go with that, because I was already super embarrassed that I was placed in a class with a bunch of little kids. But I learned very quickly that that was, in fact, where I belonged based on my skill. So I was able to kind of put my ego aside and concentrate. And my affirmation of what I would tell myself is, I am here for me. I am here to learn. It's not about being the best. It's not about having anything to prove. It's just about being surrounded by my fellow dancers and learning, to which I applied myself diligently every week, came to my ballet class, focused on my technique, and I think very quickly I was put in an advanced ballet class with the rest of the adults. But I never forgot what I learned in that experience. And one, when we begin in anything, so for me, my story is dance, but I have just as many stories about singing as well. So when we begin, there is this sort of fracturing that happens, this kind of bursting of the bubble where we expose ourselves to life, or we kind of step out and share what we think are our gifts. And we quickly learn that, we're not as good as we might think that we are. Now, for a lot of people, that can be so disappointing that they kind of shift into bitterness. Well, what do they know? I did this and I did that and I was this and I did that. No, that's really not going to serve you. What I learned to do very quickly in my life was ask myself the question, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? And I asked myself that same question being around the smaller kids, which, oh my goodness, the level of wisdom and maturity that these young dancers displayed was just the epitome of elegance. So that was exactly what I needed. What could I learn from that? Well, I could learn the true meaning of humility, humble myself, lower myself. I'm here to learn. I am here to learn. And that attitude very quickly moved me through concentrating on basics. It brought me back to, instead of showing off and doing all these, spins and leaps and things that I was very good at, it revealed to me where I was weak. So that's the second part of shadow integration. That's why we need to have an open heart and an open mind when sometimes it feels like the world rejects us. There's something that we can learn from this. There's a sense of our weaknesses becoming revealed to us, showing us where we can learn. And as long as we have the right attitude, which is just to say, I'm here to learn. What can I learn from this? And picking out the lessons that feel the most profound to you, and having that receptive soul, having that receptive heart and receptive mind of, what can I learn? I'm here to learn. So the world will show you, if you're paying attention, what is necessary for you to learn. And then from there, not only is there a sense of order, like a hierarchy in the group, you can learn what your strengths are. Maybe you didn't know those either. So you can come into the group and really give your strengths, learn your weaknesses, and also learn your strengths, to which you can then transcend them. And that is the whole point of shadow integration. The whole point is to say that we confront the things about us that we didn't know. We just didn't know. We also confront the things about us that we're afraid of. Absolutely. Singing will absolutely do that. And I think that's a lot of the reason why people they live inside of this dream world of the type of singer they wish they could be. And that's easier in a lot of ways, because maybe they do feel that they're really good. But if they don't ever step out and expose themselves to the world, whether that's a class or whether that's a one-on-one lesson or whether that's a full-on show or talent show or whatever that is, if they never expose themselves to anyone else, they can kind of keep living in this dream reality into which they never really live their full potential. And I do believe that's why people become resentful and hateful, and they tend to be just kind of injuring to other people, especially when the outlet is like social media. These things that they say in comments on social media, they would probably never say to someone in real life. But it's easy for them to be passive aggressive on social media because that's just the outlet. That's the spirit of the outlet. But anywho, So let's come back to singing for a second. Singing, when you step into singing, you step into your voice. We all have places within our voice that are undeveloped or unknown to us. So even if you're just exposing yourself to yourself and you allow yourself to practice in a way that's concentrating on openness and relaxation and just that feeling that you don't have to make something happen, those gaps in coordinations or those weaknesses are going to be revealed. As soon as they are, there's this shattering, there's this crushing, there's this disappointment that tends to happen. But keep your heart and your mind open. What can I learn from this? Or can I stay with that and just see it for what it is? No, I don't suck. No, I am not tone deaf. It's just I haven't developed this yet. And I'm seeing that undeveloped potential. I'm confronting that undeveloped chaos inside of my own self. And I'm doing that voluntarily. And I continue to do that. As you do that, you will create new patterns of behavior, new patterns that aren't just indicative of skills, but that are also indicative of maturity, confidence, the embodiment of who you want to become. And then as soon as you do that, then you can put yourself out there in a sort of way that is fully embodied and in a way that doesn't require the applause from people. You put yourself out there, you share your gifts because you have conquered that. You've kind of come full circle. You've conquered the fear inside of yourself. You've met with your own chaotic, unrealized potential. You've focused that, learned from that, and moved into order and then new behaviors. And then bam, there's confidence. Not to mention, I think a lot of people think that confidence is something that happens like as a byproduct of applause or just listening from other people's ears. That happens a lot. I kind of call that comparison. You know, it's kind of like, well, you're not really listening with your own ears, your own ear, your interior heart ear. You're listening from everyone else's ears of what's everyone else going to say, what's everyone else going to think. If I sound just like a famous singer, then, you know, I'm listening through everyone else's ears. If I'm listening and comparing myself to a famous singer, then I'm listening from everyone else's ears. And that's how I know I can do it. That's how I know I stack up. No, not always. Not always. And sometimes I do feel like that's when we lose ourselves. That's when we lose our sense of, well, who am I? I spend so much time trying to be other people with my voice. I have no idea of my own strengths and weaknesses. Listen from that own receptive soul of yours. Meet that interior fear, that interior chaotic potential. That's something that is potential, but hasn't been formed yet, hasn't been worked. When I was in school in New York, there was something that the professors would say a lot, like, we're just going to chew you up and spit you out. And that's exactly what it feels like. It feels like you get taken apart and you get spit back out. It's crushing. It's heartbreaking, sometimes even soul crushing. But then it's up to you to put yourself back together in a way that is actually a whole person. And part of that means is that you've got to put in the work, but with an attitude of this is the work. So I'm trusting the process. I'm going slow. I'm enjoying my journey, and I'm meeting myself. I know myself. Heart, from the center of my heart. And then when I share, I'm sharing from a place of wholeness. I don't need anything from other people. I share because I can't help but share. It kind of spills out. That's the full embodiment of you integrating your shadow. Once you share, that integration is there. And I do feel that you can look at yourself in the mirror and you can say, I respect you. I respect you. because you've met yourself, you've conquered yourself, and you've embodied yourself. So that's the short answer as to why singing is so hard. There's skill building element to it, but that's not just it. The skill building element it can be really intense, but the more sabotaging element is that shadow integration. It's so easy for us to go, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard. Or I don't have to know all this. I know I can sing. And I kind of stay living in that fantasy world that we have, where you don't have to get better. You don't have to humble yourself. You don't have to expose yourself to which the world is going to place you in a sense of hierarchy. And it is very hard to meet that, to see that, to kind of come face to face with that. But as long as you ask yourself, what can I learn from this? That will keep you going, that will keep you invested. The whole point is to be a whole person at the end of it. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I understand that things on the psychological nature are confusing, but I hope that this will at least let you know that everyone goes through this. Everyone has to conquer themselves. Everyone. It doesn't matter how good they are. Everyone has to do this kind of work. The world is a place that if you're not grounded in a sense of who you are, it can chew you up, spit you out, but you never put yourself back together. There's never that integrating element. There's just injury. There's just soul crushing injury, into which case the tendency is to become bitter and resentful. And I don't want that for you. I know you can do this. I know you can do this. I know it's hard, but it is worth it. At the end of the day, you emerge a complete person, complete with your strengths and your weaknesses. You accept them both. You embody them both. Okay? I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please be sure to give it a thumbs up or click that subscribe button below. I would love to see you here more often. And don't remember, please remember, don't forget to join me this coming Monday, November 14th, 12 p.m. Nashville, Tennessee time. So just Google what time that is for you. I hope to see you in the YouTube live mini voice lesson on how to get started. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you again next time.